The desert road stretched endlessly under the star-filled sky. Dr. Elena Vasquez gripped the steering wheel tighter as her old pickup truck bounced over another pothole. She was tired after another long day at the research lab, but the peaceful drive home always helped clear her mind. Elena had been studying strange life forms for 15 years. Her job at the government facility was top secret, but most days felt routine. She examined soil samples, ran tests on unusual bacteria, and wrote reports that probably sat in filing cabinets somewhere. Tonight felt different, though. Something was stirring in the desert air. The radio crackled with static as she drove through the empty wasteland. Out here, cell phone towers were rare, and the nearest town was 50 miles away. Elena liked the silence. It gave her time to think about her research and dream about discoveries that might change the world. Then she saw it. A brilliant streak of light tore across the night sky, brighter than any shooting star she had ever seen. The light moved strangely, zigzagging through the darkness like it was trying to avoid something. Elena pulled over and stepped out of her truck, watching in amazement as the object grew larger and larger. The sound came next, a deep rumbling noise that made her chest vibrate. This was no meteor or satellite. The object was slowing down, changing direction, clearly under some kind of control. Elena's scientific mind raced with possibilities, but her heart was pounding with fear. The craft crashed about 2 miles from the road, sending up a massive cloud of dust and debris. The impact shook the ground beneath Elena's feet. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, a strange blue glow began to pulse from the crash site, like a heartbeat made of light. Elena knew she should call her supervisors at the lab. Protocol demanded it. Any unusual activity in the desert had to be reported immediately. But something held her back. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was the way that blue light seemed to call to her. She grabbed her emergency medical kit from the truck and started walking toward the crash. The desert was full of dangerous animals and the terrain was rough, but Elena had grown up in these mountains. She knew how to handle herself in the wilderness. As she got closer, the blue light grew brighter. The air itself seemed to shimmer with energy. Elena could smell something unusual, like ozone after a lightning strike mixed with something sweet and metallic. Her hands were shaking, but she kept walking. The spacecraft was unlike anything she had ever imagined. It was smooth and curved, made of some kind of material that seemed to shift colors in the light. Parts of it were clearly damaged from the crash, with strange symbols carved into the hull that glowed faintly in the darkness. Elena circled the craft slowly, looking for any sign of life. That's when she heard it. A soft sound, almost like singing, coming from inside the vessel. It was beautiful and sad at the same time, like a lullaby sung by someone who was hurt and scared. A section of the hull had been torn open during the crash. Elena peered inside and gasped. The interior was filled with that same blue light pulsing gently like a slow heartbeat. And there, lying among the wreckage, was a figure unlike anything she had ever seen. The being was clearly female, with long, silver hair that seemed to move on its own. Her skin had a soft, pearl-like quality that shifted between different colors. She was wearing some kind of fitted suit that looked like it was made of liquid metal. Most striking of all were her eyes, which were closed now but surrounded by delicate patterns that looked like tattoos made of starlight. Elena's medical training kicked in immediately. The being was injured with what looked like burns on her arms and a deep cut on her forehead. Strange blue liquid, probably blood, was pooling beneath her. But she was alive. Elena could see the gentle rise and fall of her chest. Without thinking, Elena climbed into the craft. The singing sound grew louder and she realized it was coming from the injured being. It was some kind of distress call, Elena thought, or maybe a prayer. As Elena reached out to check for injuries, the being's eyes suddenly opened. They were the most beautiful things Elena had ever seen, like looking into deep space filled with swirling galaxies. For a moment, the two females just stared at each other across the vast distance between their worlds. Then Elena heard the sound of helicopters in the distance. Military helicopters, flying fast and low. The government had detected the crash and was sending a team to investigate. Elena knew what would happen next. The being would be taken to a secret facility, studied, tested, and probably never seen again. In that moment, Elena made a choice that would change everything. She couldn't let them take this beautiful, injured creature. Something deep inside her said this being was important, not just to science but to the future of both their species. Working quickly, Elena wrapped the injured being in an emergency blanket from her medical kit. The being was surprisingly light, and Elena was able to carry her out of the craft just as the first helicopter appeared over the horizon. Elena ran through the desert as fast as she could, carrying her precious cargo toward a hidden cave system she had discovered years ago during her research. The helicopters were getting closer, their searchlights sweeping across the sand. But Elena knew these mountains better than anyone, and she had something the soldiers didn't have. She had a reason to run that went beyond fear or duty. As she reached the safety of the caves, Elena looked down at the being in her arms. Those galaxy eyes opened again, looking up at her with what Elena could only describe as gratitude. And in that moment, Elena knew that her life would never be the same. Again, the adventure was just beginning. Elena carried the injured being deeper into the cave system, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. These caves had been her secret hideout for years, a place where she came to think and escape from the pressures of her job. Now they might be the only thing standing between this mysterious visitor and a government laboratory. The cave she chose was spacious and dry, with a natural shelf that would work as a makeshift bed. Elena gently placed the being on her sleeping bag and began to examine her injuries more carefully. The cuts were deep, but they seemed to be healing on their own. The blue liquid that Elena had thought was blood was actually glowing brighter, and wherever it touched the wounds, they began to close. Elena watched in amazement as the being's body repaired itself. This was beyond anything she had studied in her years of research. The healing process was so advanced that it made human medicine look primitive. But despite this incredible ability, the being was still weak and needed help. As Elena cleaned the remaining wounds with water from her emergency kit, something unexpected happened. The being's eyes opened and looked directly into hers. But this time, Elena felt something strange in her mind. It was like hearing a voice, but not with her ears. The words seemed to form directly in her thoughts. "Thank you," the voice said, soft and musical. "You saved my life." Elena nearly dropped her flashlight. "Did you just talk to me? In my head?" The being smiled weakly. "My people can share thoughts with those who have kind hearts. Your heart called out to me when I was lost in the darkness." Elena sat back, trying to process what was happening. "Who are you? Where did you come from?" Images began to flow into Elena's mind. She saw vast cities floating among the stars with buildings that looked like they were grown rather than built. She saw beings like this one, with their pearl-like skin and galaxy eyes living in harmony with nature and technology. The visions were so clear and beautiful that they took Elena's breath away. "My name is Zara," the being said. "I am from a world you call Andromeda. We have been watching your planet for many years, learning about your people." More images flowed through Elena's mind, but these were darker. She saw massive warships and soldiers in black armor. She saw a being with cruel eyes and scars across his face, radiating power and violence. The fear in these visions was so strong that Elena shivered. "I was running from him," Zara continued, her mental voice filled with sadness. "His name is Krex, and he wants to force me to marry him. If that happens, he will use my abilities to create weapons that could destroy entire worlds." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of abilities?" Zara raised her hand, and Elena watched in wonder as the blue light from her healing wounds began to gather in her palm. The light pulsed and swirled, forming shapes that looked like DNA strands and cellular structures. "I can heal any living thing," Zara explained. "But Krex wants to reverse this gift to create diseases and weapons that no one can cure. He believes that fear and pain are the only ways to control people." Elena understood now why this was so important. "And you're royalty, aren't you? That's why he wants to marry you." "Yes. In our culture, royal blood carries special genetic codes. If Krex marries me, he gains access to those codes and the right to speak for my people. He could turn our entire civilization into an army. The weight of this revelation settled over Elena like a heavy blanket. She had thought she was just saving one person, but now she realized the fate of multiple worlds might depend on keeping Zara safe. "But why did you come to Earth?" Elena asked. Zara's expression grew hopeful. "Because we have been studying your people for decades. Humans have something special that we lost long ago. You have the ability to choose kindness even when it costs you everything. We hoped that maybe humans could help us find a better way." Elena thought about her own choice to save Zara instead of following protocol. "And now you're stuck here with me in a cave, hiding from both your enemies and mine." "I am not stuck," Zara said, her galaxy eyes twinkling. "I am exactly where I need to be." Outside the cave, Elena could hear the distant sound of helicopters still searching the desert. She knew it was only a matter of time before they expanded their search to include the cave systems. Colonel Hayes, the man who ran security for Elena's facility, was not known for giving up easily. "We can't stay here forever," Elena said. "They'll find us eventually." Zara struggled to sit up, her strength slowly returning. "Then we must leave. But Elena, you must understand what you are choosing. If you help me, you will become a fugitive from your own government. Your life will never be the same." Elena looked at this beautiful being who had traveled across the galaxy only to find herself trapped and hunted. She thought about all the years she had spent in her laboratory, studying samples and writing reports that no one would ever read. She had always dreamed of making a real difference in the world. "My life was already changing the moment I decided to pull you from that crash," Elena said. "Besides, someone has to make sure you don't end up married to an intergalactic warlord." Zara laughed, and the sound was like music echoing through the cave. "Your people truly are remarkable. You make jokes even in the face of danger." "It's how we cope," Elena said, checking her supplies. "And speaking of coping, we need to figure out how to get you somewhere safe while we come up with a real plan." Zara reached out and touched Elena's hand. The moment their skin made contact, Elena felt a warm sensation spreading through her body. It was like being connected to something vast and ancient, a network of consciousness that spanned the stars. "Whatever happens next," Zara said, "I want you to know that meeting you has given me something I thought I had lost forever." "What's that?" Elena asked. "Hope." Elena squeezed Zara's hand gently. "Well then, princess, let's make sure that hope wasn't misplaced, because I have a feeling our real adventure is just getting started." As they prepared to leave the safety of the cave, Elena realized that she was no longer just a scientist studying life. She had become part of something much bigger, a story that would determine the future of two worlds. And for the first time in her life, she felt truly alive. Elena packed her truck quickly while Zara waited in the passenger seat, wrapped in a hooded jacket that hid her unusual features. The desert morning was cold, and their breath made small clouds in the air. Elena had barely slept, but adrenaline kept her alert and focused. "Where are we going?" Zara asked, her voice still weak but filled with curiosity about the human world around her. "East," Elena said, starting the engine. "I have a friend who runs a small research station in Colorado. Dr. Chen has been studying unusual phenomena for years. If anyone can help us figure out what to do next, it's her." As they drove away from the desert, Elena kept checking her rearview mirror. The government search teams had moved closer to the cave system during the night, and it was only a matter of time before they discovered her truck was missing from her usual parking spot at home. Zara was fascinated by everything she saw. The changing landscape from desert to mountains, the small towns they passed, even things as simple as gas stations and roadside diners amazed her. "Your world is so different from ours," she said, watching a group of children playing in a school playground. "Everything seems so chaotic but also full of life." "That's humanity for you," Elena said with a smile. "We're messy, but we're creative." Their first real challenge came when they stopped for gas in a small town in Arizona. Elena was filling the tank when she noticed a black SUV parked across the street. The windows were too dark to see inside, but something about it made her nervous. "Zara, We need to go. Now, Elena said quietly, getting back in the truck. As they pulled away, the SUV followed them. Elena's heart raced as she realized Colonel Hayes had found their trail faster than she expected. She took several quick turns through the small town, but the SUV stayed with them. Elena, let me help, Zara said, placing her hand on the dashboard. The truck's engine suddenly roared with new power. Elena could feel the vehicle responding better than it ever had before, as if Zara had somehow improved its performance. They shot forward, leaving the SUV behind in a cloud of dust. How did you do that? Elena asked, amazed. All technology is based on the same principles, Zara explained. I can encourage machines to work better, just like I can help living things heal. They drove for hours, stopping only when necessary and always watching for signs of pursuit. Elena used back roads and mountain passes she remembered from childhood camping trips. Zara proved to be an excellent navigator, somehow able to sense which routes would be safest. During their journey, Zara shared more about her world and her people. She explained that the Andrometic Empire had been peaceful for thousands of years, but Krex had gained power by promising to expand their territory and make them the rulers of the galaxy. Many of my people are afraid, Zara said sadly. They believe that strength and fear are the only ways to survive in a dangerous universe. Krex tells them that kindness is weakness. But you don't believe that, Elena said. No. Watching your people has taught me that kindness is actually the greatest strength of all. It takes courage to help someone when you gain nothing from it. It takes wisdom to choose peace when war seems easier. As they crossed into Colorado, their luck ran out. A roadblock appeared ahead, with military vehicles and soldiers checking every car. Elena's heart sank as she realized they were trapped. There's no way around it, Elena said, pulling over to think. Zara closed her eyes and concentrated. There are 12 soldiers, 4 vehicles, and they have equipment that can detect unusual energy signatures. But Elena, there's something else. They're not just looking for us. What do you mean? Other ships have been detected entering your atmosphere. Krex's scouts are coming to Earth. The soldiers are trying to find all alien activity, not just me. Elena felt a chill of fear. How long do we have? Maybe 2 days before the main fleet arrives. If Krex's forces reach Earth before we can find a solution, your world will become a battleground. Elena stared at the roadblock ahead, her mind racing. Then she had an idea. Zara, can you make us invisible? Not invisible, but I can bend light around us so we're harder to see. It won't work for long and it uses a lot of energy. How long? Maybe 10 minutes. Elena nodded and started the engine. That's all we need. As they approached the roadblock, Zara began to glow with a soft light. The air around their truck shimmered like heat waves, and Elena watched in amazement as the soldiers seemed to look right through them. They drove slowly past the checkpoint, holding their breath until they were safely on the other side. Zara collapsed against the seat, exhausted. I can't do that again for several hours. You did great, Elena said, reaching over to squeeze her hand. We're almost there. Dr. Chen's research station was hidden in a valley between 2 mountains, surrounded by satellite dishes and strange equipment that Elena didn't recognize. Chen had been Elena's mentor in graduate school, and Elena trusted her completely. But as they approached the station, Elena noticed something wrong. There were too many cars in the parking area, and some of them had government license plates. It's a trap, Elena whispered. Before she could turn around, their truck was surrounded by black SUVs. Colonel Hayes stepped out of one of them, along with a team of armed soldiers. Elena's heart sank as she realized their cross-country chase was over. Dr. Vasquez, Hayes called out through a megaphone. Step out of the vehicle with your hands visible. You're not in trouble, but we need to talk. Elena looked at Zara, who was now fully alert despite her exhaustion. What do we do? Zara smiled, and for the first time since Elena had met her, she looked truly confident. We trust in the kindness of humans. Dr. Chen is your friend, yes? Yes, I've known her for 15 years. Then perhaps she is not working with them by choice. Perhaps she is also looking for a way to help. Elena took a deep breath and stepped out of the truck. Whatever happened next, she knew that their journey was far from over. The real test was just beginning, and the fate of two worlds hung in the balance. As the soldiers surrounded them, Elena caught sight of Dr. Chen watching from the research station window. Her old friend looked scared, but determined, and Elena realized that Zara might be right. Maybe they had found an ally in the most unexpected place. The hunt was over, but the real adventure was about to begin. Elena raised her hand slowly as Colonel Hayes approached, his soldiers keeping their weapons ready. The mountain air was tense with danger, but Elena noticed something odd in the colonel's eyes. He looked worried, not angry. "Dr. Vasquez, you've led us on quite a chase," Hayes said, stopping a few feet away. "But I'm not here to arrest you. We need to talk, and we need to talk fast." Elena was confused. "What do you mean? Our satellites have detected 17 ships entering Earth's atmosphere. Whatever you've gotten yourself mixed up in, it's bigger than just one crashed alien." Dr. Chen emerged from the research station, flanked by two soldiers but not in handcuffs. She looked older than Elena remembered, with worry lines around her eyes. "Elena, thank goodness you're safe. We've been tracking unusual energy readings across the country." Zara stepped out of the truck, still wearing the hooded jacket but no longer trying to hide. "The ships belong to Krex. He's coming for me, and he won't care how many humans get hurt in the process." Hayes stared at Zara in amazement. Despite his military training, he couldn't hide his shock at seeing an actual alien being. "You can speak English?" "I can speak any language once I hear it," Zara replied calmly. "Your minds are very loud, humans, full of thoughts and emotions that broadcast like radio signals." Dr. Chen stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "Elena, is this really happening? Are we actually making first contact with an alien species?" Elena nodded. "Chen, meet Princess Zara of the Andrometic Empire." "Zara, this is Dr. Chen, the smartest person I know." Hayes looked between them, clearly out of his depth. "Princess? You mean she's alien royalty?" "Which is exactly why Krex wants her," Elena explained. "If he forces her to marry him, he gains access to royal genetic codes and the legal right to speak for her entire civilization." Zara's expression grew sad. "And he will use that power to turn my people into conquerors. Earth will be just the first world to fall." Dr. Chen's research station suddenly came alive with activity. Computers beeped with urgent warnings, and the satellite dishes began tracking movement in the sky. "Elena, look at this," Chen called out, pointing to a large screen. The display showed 17 dots moving in formation toward Earth. As they watched, the dots began to separate, taking positions around the planet like a blockade. "They're surrounding us," Hayes said grimly. "My superiors are talking about launching missiles, but our weapons might not even scratch their technology." Zara shook her head. "Your weapons would only give Krex an excuse to retaliate. He wants to paint humans as violent and dangerous. That way, when he conquers Earth, he can claim it was self-defense." Elena studied the screen, her mind working through the possibilities. "How long do we have before Krex makes his demands?" "By our customs, he must give me 3 days to surrender willingly," Zara said. "After that, he can take me by force." Dr. Chen was frantically typing at her computers, pulling up research she had been conducting for years. "Elena, I've been studying reports of UFO sightings and unexplained phenomena. Look at this." The screen filled with charts and graphs showing a pattern of alien visits to Earth spanning decades. "They've been watching us," Chen continued, "learning about our culture, our technology, our weaknesses, and our strengths," Zara added quietly. "That's what gave me hope that humans could help." Hayes was getting reports through his radio, his expression growing more worried by the minute. "The president is meeting with world leaders. They want to negotiate, but they have no idea what they're dealing with." Elena felt the weight of the situation pressing down on her. The decision she had made in the desert 3 days ago had led to this moment. The fate of both species might depend on what happened next. "There has to be another way," Elena said. "Zara, you said Krex must follow your customs. Are there any laws or traditions that could help us? Zara thought carefully. There is one possibility, but it's dangerous and has never been attempted with an alien species. What is it? Chen asked. The challenge of merit. If someone can prove that Krex's plan would harm the very thing he claims to protect, the Royal Council might reconsider the marriage contract. Hayes looked confused. What does that mean in practical terms? Zara turned to Elena with hope in her galaxy eyes. It means we need to prove that destroying Earth would ultimately weaken the Andrometic Empire, not strengthen it. Elena's scientific mind began to race. Your people value genetic diversity and healing abilities, right? Earth has the most diverse ecosystem in this part of the galaxy. If Krex destroys that diversity, he destroys something that could benefit my people for generations. Zara finished, excitement growing in her voice. Dr. Chen was already pulling up files on her computer. I have 20 years of research on Earth's biodiversity, species that could hold the key to medical breakthroughs, plants that could solve food shortages, organisms that could clean pollution. But how do we present this case? Hayes asked. We can't exactly send a representative to an alien court. Zara looked at Elena with an expression that was both hopeful and terrified. Actually, we can. The challenge of merit allows me to choose a champion to speak for my defense. Elena felt her heart skip a beat. You want me to represent Earth in an alien trial? You saved my life when you had nothing to gain and everything to lose, Zara said. You understand both human and alien perspectives now. You're the only one who can speak for both our worlds. The research station fell silent as everyone absorbed the magnitude of what Zara was proposing. Elena would have to face an intergalactic court, argue against a warlord who had conquered multiple worlds, and somehow convince an alien civilization that Earth was worth protecting. Hayes shook his head. This is insane. We're talking about sending a human scientist to negotiate with beings we know nothing about. We know they value intelligence over brute force, Elena said, surprising herself with her determination. We know they respect courage and sacrifice, and we know they're curious about humanity, or they wouldn't have been watching us for so long. Dr. Chen grabbed Elena's arm. Are you seriously considering this? Elena looked at Zara, then at the screen showing Krex's ship surrounding Earth. She thought about all the people on the planet who had no idea their world was about to change forever. She thought about her quiet life in the laboratory and how it had led to this impossible moment. I've been studying life for my entire career, Elena said finally. Maybe it's time I did something to protect it. Zara reached out and took Elena's hand. The moment their skin touched, Elena felt that familiar warmth spreading through her body. But this time, it was different. She could sense Zara's fear, her hope, and her absolute faith in Elena's ability to find a solution. The trial will take place on the flagship tomorrow at sunset, Zara said. If we lose, Krex gets everything he wants. If we win, we change the future for both our species, Elena finished. Hayes was already on his radio, reporting to his superiors. Dr. Chen was downloading every piece of research she could find about Earth's ecosystems, and Elena stood holding hands with an alien princess preparing for the most important presentation of her life. The choice had been made. Now all that remained was to see if human determination and alien wisdom could triumph over fear and hatred. Tomorrow would decide the fate of two worlds. The transport beam lifted Elena and Zara from Dr. Chen's research station into the massive alien flagship hovering above Earth. Elena's stomach lurched as they materialized inside a chamber that defied everything she knew about physics. The walls seemed to be made of living crystal that pulsed with soft light, and the floor beneath her feet felt solid but somehow alive. Stay close to me, Zara whispered. The council chamber can be overwhelming for those who haven't seen it before. Elena nodded, clutching the tablet containing all of Dr. Chen's research. Her heart was pounding, but she forced herself to stay calm. The fate of two worlds depended on her ability to think clearly and speak convincingly. As they walked through corridors filled with beings from across the galaxy, Elena marveled at the diversity of life forms. Some looked almost human, while others were so alien that her mind struggled to process their appearance. All of them watched her with curiosity, whispering among themselves in languages that sounded like music. "They've never seen a human before," Zara explained. "You're making history just by being here." The council chamber was enormous, with seats arranged in a spiral that seemed to stretch upward into infinity. Hundreds of beings filled the space, representing different worlds and species within the Andrometic Empire. At the center of it all sat the High Council, 7 ancient beings whose presence made Elena feel like she was standing before living galaxies. And there, on a raised platform across from them, stood Krex. Elena had seen him in Zara's memories, but nothing had prepared her for meeting him in person. He was tall and imposing, with skin like polished black stone and eyes that burned with red fire. Scars covered his arms and face, each one a trophy from a conquered world. When he looked at Elena, she felt like a mouse being studied by a hungry snake. "So," Krex said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "the princess brings a primitive human to speak for her. How amusing." The eldest council member, a being of pure light named Archon Thane, raised his hand for silence. "Princess Zara has invoked the challenge of merit. She claims that your proposed union would harm the Empire rather than strengthen it. You will each present your case, and the council will decide." Krex stepped forward with confidence. "Honored Council, I have conquered 17 worlds in the name of the Empire. I have brought order to chaos and strength to weakness. The humans are a violent, unpredictable species that poses a threat to galactic peace. By marrying Princess Zara, I gain the authority to eliminate this threat and claim Earth's resources for our people." He gestured toward a holographic display showing Earth's military conflicts throughout history. "Look at their wars, their weapons, their endless capacity for destruction. They are a cancer in this galaxy, and I am the cure." The council murmured, with concern as they watched images of human violence flash across the display. Elena felt her heart sink as she realized how easy it would be to paint humanity as a dangerous species. When Krex finished, Archon Thane turned to Elena. "Human representative, you may now present your defense." Elena stood on shaking legs and walked to the center of the chamber. Hundreds of alien eyes focused on her, and she could feel the weight of their expectations. For a moment, her mind went blank with terror. Then she looked at Zara, who smiled and nodded encouragingly. Elena thought about Dr. Chen's research, about all the life on Earth that deserved protection. She thought about her choice in the desert and how it had led to this moment. "Honored Council," Elena began, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Krex shows you only one side of humanity. Yes, we have flaws. Yes, we sometimes fight. But we also have something that your empire has lost, something that could make you stronger than any weapon." She activated her tablet, and images of Earth's incredible biodiversity filled the chamber. Coral reefs teeming with life, rainforests stretching to the horizon, countless species working together in perfect harmony. "Earth has more genetic diversity than any world you've encountered," Elena continued. "We have organisms that can heal themselves, plants that can clean poison from the air, bacteria that can eat plastic and turn it into useful materials. But, more than that, we have something even more valuable." She switched to images of humans helping each other. Doctors saving lives, teachers educating children, ordinary people risking everything to help strangers. We have the ability to choose kindness even when it costs us everything. We have hope in the face of impossible odds. We have love that transcends all differences. Krex laughed harshly. "Pretty words. But how does this help the Empire?" Elena turned to face him directly. "Because conquest through fear only creates more enemies. But partnership built on respect creates allies who will fight beside you willingly." She gestured to herself and Zara. "A human and an alien, working together to save both our worlds. That's not weakness, Commander Krex. That's the future." The chamber erupted in discussion as the various species debated Elena's words. Some seemed convinced, while others appeared skeptical. Elena could see that the decision could go either way. Then Zara stood up. "Honored Council, I wish to add something to my champion's presentation. She walked to Elena's side and took her hand. Immediately, the connection between them blazed with light, visible to everyone in the chamber. But this time, it wasn't just Elena who felt the warmth. Every being in the room suddenly experienced the bond between human and alien, the trust and friendship that had grown between two completely different species. "This is what my champion speaks of," Zara said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "Not conquest, but connection. Not fear, but understanding. Earth doesn't just offer genetic diversity. It offers a new way of thinking about our place in the universe." The light from their connection spread outward, touching other beings in the chamber. Elena watched in amazement as aliens from different worlds began to reach out to each other, sharing their own experiences of cooperation and friendship. Archon Thane stood slowly, his ancient presence commanding absolute silence. "We have heard both arguments. Commander Krex offers strength through domination. Princess Zara and her human. Champion offers strength through unity." The pause felt like an eternity. Elena held her breath as the council deliberated telepathically, their decision represented by shifting colors in their crystalline forms. Finally, Thane spoke again. "The council has decided. Commander Krex, your marriage contract is void. Princess Zara is free to choose her own path." The chamber exploded with cheers and protests. Krex's supporters were furious, while those who favored peace celebrated openly. But Thane wasn't finished. "Furthermore, we grant humanity the status of protected allies of the Empire. Earth will be defended from all threats and humans will be welcome in our civilization as equals." Elena felt her knees give out with relief, but Zara caught her arm and held her steady. "We did it," Zara whispered. "We actually did it." But their celebration was interrupted when Krex stepped forward, his face twisted with rage. "This is not over, Princess. There are others who think as I do. We will not let this alliance stand." Archon Thane's voice carried a warning that echoed through the chamber. "Then you will face the combined strength of humans and aliens working together. And as this trial has shown, that is a power you cannot defeat." As the council session ended, Elena found herself surrounded by aliens eager to learn more about humanity. Scientists wanted to study Earth's ecosystems, diplomats wanted to establish trade relationships, and explorers wanted to visit human worlds. "What happens now?" Elena asked Zara as they watched the crowds mingling freely. "Now we build something new," Zara replied with a smile that could light up the stars. "A partnership between our species that will change the galaxy forever." Dr. Chen's voice crackled through Elena's communicator. "Elena, are you seeing this? Ships from dozens of worlds are requesting permission to visit Earth. We're going to need a bigger welcome committee." Elena laughed, feeling lighter than she had in days. "Tell them we'll be ready. After all, we humans have always been good at making new friends." As she looked out at the stars through the chamber's transparent walls, Elena realized that her quiet life studying samples in a laboratory was truly over. She was now Earth's first interstellar ambassador, and the adventure was just beginning. The rescue of one alien princess had indeed changed everything. But more than that, it had shown the entire galaxy that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can reshape the universe itself.